Yeah, exactly. I think we've been like kind of as a academic community been a little bit clouded by this idea that we didn't get smart until recently. And once we realize that that may not be the case, I think it will open up some more minds to the possibilities of what could have occurred in the deep past. So that's what I'm trying to do. And a big comment that I got was like, this is impossible because humans have been
Hmm.
smart since 50,000 years ago. And I remember seeing that comment everywhere and thinking, I didn't think that that was true anymore. I don't think that's the case. And doing research into it and seeing that that has been quite a big kind of idea regarding human history. So I thought this is something that's worth challenging because I don't think it's true. I don't think it's correct. I've seen lots of famous books written with that in mind, such as *Sapiens*, which I cite a lot because I think it's the most popular
Yes.
book about prehistory ever written. And
Hmm.
yet this idea that humans didn't get smart until 50,000 years ago, I don't think that should be allowed to stand. I think it's worthy of being challenged. So that's what I try to do on the intelligence front. But just from all my videos, I kind of just look around at stuff that I find interesting. And if I see something that's interesting, I put it in a little list. And then I go back over that list every now and again and choose a topic that I want to make a video about and go from there, really.
Cool. And what is the 50,000? What is it? What is the evidence for 50,000 years? Is it very? Is it any
Yeah.
good?
There's not much, to be honest. They usually cite the explosion of cave art in Europe around that time. So we see a
Sure,
lot.
that's what I remember in
Yeah, a
school.
lot of cave art like appearing around 60, 50, 40,000 years ago in Europe. And it's impressive cave art by all means, but I don't think it's worthy of proof on its own that that's when Homo sapiens got smart, just because they did produce incredible cave art in that period. I think there's mounting evidence of a very high level of sophistication much earlier than that, which suggests, a high level of cognition as well.
Mm, yeah, I agree, and I we talk about this on our show a lot, like, but the Stoned Ape Theory. Like we talk about psychedelics on our show, not the Stoned Ape Theory, but what do you think the role of psychedelics have played in human evolution, and does that ever come up in your research? Like it seems to come up as people go down these rabbit holes sometimes.
Yeah, the Stoned Ape Theory is a lot of fun. I did do a video on it at one point. But it's I don't think you can really prove that. I think it's more just of like kind of a fun idea to think about and to
Hmm.
contemplate. But in terms
Hmm.
of psychedelics have always been, or not always, but a lot of the time, psychedelics play a crucial role in human cultures across the globe. And I
Hmm.
think that's a really interesting thing. I think when you see these cultures that have been continuous for like thousands and thousands and thousands of years, and yet they have this psychedelic kind of ritual built around psychedelics. It's a really interesting thing, and how they can make their cultures have such longevity. And you see it in, South America in the Amazon jungle. You see it in Central America. You see it
Hmm.
in
Hmm.
Asia. You see it all
Hmm.
over the place. And clearly, psychedelics have been something that human cultures have used for a long, long time. You even see it in ancient Greece, and all the kind of philosophers that were the foundation of Western philosophy and the kind of ideas we still hold in our society today use psychedelics. And I think that's a really
Hmm.
interesting thing, especially in contrast with how it's completely outlawed and demonized, or at least has been until maybe quite recently in
Yeah,
societies and that by our governments. And I think that's quite a modern thing. I don't think psychedelics have ever been demonized until, the 1960s with the war
probably.
and stuff like that. And I think that's quite an interesting contradiction with our modern world to the world of almost every other human culture that's lived. And I think that's something that's, an interesting thing to highlight. And I think psychedelics do have a role to play in society and shouldn't be outlawed, and people shouldn't be locked up for using them because, they're powerful things. And yeah, I think they're very interesting.
I do too, and I have like limited personal experience with using them, but my experience with them is like when I do it, I always come back around with like sort of insights of like, patterns of behavior or thoughts that like maybe I've been having that aren't useful or helpful. And I put on my tinfoil hat and I say like, maybe they didn't want us to think that have insight,
Yeah, for
you
sure.
know.
It's a method of control, isn't it? They don't want people thinking outside the box, and they don't
Correct.
want people thinking outside the box. And
Correct.
also just for other reasons, like you can use it to control the population in other ways. Maybe not just because you want people to not think outside the box, but you can also use it as a way to, criminalize people that you want to criminalize, and
Yep.
people that you don't like and stuff like that. So I think it's quite tragic, to be honest, the whole war on drugs, or lots of it. But I also feel like there's a bit of a sea change recently. I think there's quite a lot of organizations doing good work with psychedelics now, and proving scientifically the benefits and the uses of these substances. So I think that's an encouraging sign for the future.